today I'm going to be talking to you about the City of Bones movie. I'm sorry I'm really late with this, I didn't watch it till a couple of days ago, and took me I think this long to form any kind of opinion on it. So I'm going to go. I'm going to start with the good bits, because there were some. Yay. I think actually the best footage was actually cut into the adverts, and that's why I had such high expectations for this. They managed to put everything that was good, well not everything, but most things that they got right about this movie into the advert, so everyone was so hyped up for it, and so, oh my god, this is going to be amazing, the cast and the set and the CGI and just, but I put on my notes in capital letters for the good, under the good column, Simon. It's just Simon. Robert Sheehan. Simon. Yes. Brilliant. Done. That's done. Simon and Jace scenes. Oh my god, I was laughing. I don't really laugh out loud at movies very much. I laugh out loud at books, but some of the dialogue they put in that wasn't in the book they understood the characters for me. That was one of the good things. The best characters in it, like Simon and Jace and Isabel, they understood and they did it, and like how Simon was going on about like, you killed 2 cops, I'm sure they were cops, and Jason's like, they weren't cops. And someone's like, yeah, how did they get the car then? It was great. And when they talk about the runes, the only time they ever sort of try and explain the runes were when Carrie wakes up in the hospital and Simon's like, they have these runes and they give you strength and invisibility, and if you're hungry, and Jason's like, no. But I was thinking, yeah, no, they don't give you food, Simon. No. But I laughed at that as well. Just Jace's bluntness. I was like, that's so Jace. But and they put a lot of the funny lines from the book into the movie, and that was great. And I liked how the runes looked as well. They did look very runey. So yeah, that great. The CGI with the demons. Yeah, that could have been so cheesy, but especially with the can't even remember what it's called, the one at the beginning in Clary's house. That was good. It turned from a dog, and I loved it. And this is what I like them doing with movies. I like them changing it in really cool ways, so that yeah, it turns into a dog and the spinning thing coming at her, and she even gets to like kill it almost once, and then Jace comes in all badass and stabs it, and it's great. And yeah, that was good. Isabel, yes. Dead on. Isabel, great. Done. I don't even need to say anything more than that. She was badass, she was pretty, she was everything. In the white in the beginning, that was great. Yeah. Oh, what else? I liked the, that was a subtle bit in it, Eric's poetry in the background in the cafe. They'd kept the cheesy poetry. That was great. I was laughing. I was telling everyone I was with to just listen to it in the background, because no one was listening to it. Everyone was just watching what was going on screen, and I was just in the background like laughing at this poetry that was so like trying to be intense, and it was great. And yeah, I've already mentioned like the demons, but the little girl demon, I loved that, and the Silent Brothers I think were done really well, even though they didn't explain who they were or why they were there or what they were doing, but they were done well for all the fans of the book that have read it and know who they are and know everything. The demons were, the demons were great, so the Silent Brothers were great. Now, I think I've got through my excitement on the good bits, so I'm going to start on the bad bits now. The first thing, when it starts, the first thing that I was a little bit like, they did explain this later, but I was like, is that really necessary to put in? When Clary like wakes up and has all angelic runes hung up in her room around her, I was like, what? Why was it really necessary to put this in? What, is she possessed? Is that what they do now? Did she somehow get possessed to be drawing runes? I was just, that really annoyed me, but later Magnus says that was a sign that she needs to get it renewed, but surely they know when the spell starts wearing off, or you know, that could be something they put in. If they'd just used, they could have used that time that they explained that in to explain some of the other things that they didn't explain, like some of the fundamental things it takes to understand this book or movie. They didn't. Yeah, that they didn't put some of that in. It was just, it seemed to me just action sequence after action sequence after. They tried to buoy it up in that kind of way, appeal to that kind of audience with the action. Too much action. Some scenes you just don't want it to break out into a massive fight that lasts for 5 minutes. Sometimes it's alright, let's say if Simon comes in with his bow and smashes the ceiling down, and then that's the end of that. We have enough fight scenes in this book, okay? You don't need to be adding more of them. And then they don't have enough dialogue in between the fight to justify the fight. And then randomly it's almost like it seems to be cut and paste from the book to the script explanations that people wouldn't understand. And that, they just tried to fit everything in, and then the bits they cut made the bits they fit in not make sense. Like, at Luke's, they didn't need that fight scene there. They could have used that as just an explanation scene and made it really cool with the light shining through, and they didn't need to break out into some massive war and then just not explain anything, really. I didn't even get that from watching the movie that they were even at Luke's. That was just literally for the fans that they knew, the fans of the book, that they knew they were at Luke's at all. So, and no, there was no there wasn't enough of Luke in it to like foreshadow him being a werewolf at all, or he's just suddenly a werewolf. And some of the people I'm with, I can feel them going, wait, who's that again? I don't. He was in the beginning a little bit, and people thought it was Carrie's dad because, and the JC box, that was a big part of it. That's not in it either. She just looked at it. There was nothing really with that, and there was not enough world building. This is a book. It's here. No, it's here. This is a big book. There's a lot of world building. It's a whole world. You can't just cut random bits out of it and just shove little bits of like information about the world where you want and expect people to understand. They don't understand. So that was my little rant about that. Now let's go into scene by scene analysis of the bad stuff. Hotel Dumont. Dumont. That was horrible. I hated that. When. Okay, so we're at Magnus's, okay? We're at Magnus's, and a vampire spikes Simon's drink. I thought, okay, the point of this, he's supposed to be showing off to Isabel with the shot. With the fairy shot, whatever. And that doesn't show that. So I thought, okay, let's go with this. They spiked his drink. What's it going to do? Okay, so that's what turns him into a rat. He doesn't get turned into a rat. I suppose they're trying to make it for an older, mature audience. Like, yeah, we can't watch people getting turned into rats because we're too old for that. But yeah, they put Demi Lovato in it. I'm going to come back to that later. And yeah, so they go to the Hotel Dumont. They're like, oh, Simon's gone or whatever. He's been taken by vampires. And so they go to the Hotel Dumont, and that was quite funny because they're like, oh, clever. And then so Simon's there, and right, Raphael for a start. That's his name. I'm sure that's his name. And he's cut out completely. That was a big part of them getting in. They can just apparently walk in to a vampire lair. Okay. And they just like walked in, and that wasn't even very clear where that was, how they got in. That wasn't how I imagined it. It was just on a street anywhere. And there's this like figure as they walk in like that at the door, and I was thinking, okay, is this Raphael, whatever his name is he gonna come in, lead them in, pretend to be mundane, and then turn on them? And no, he doesn't come back in it at all. He isn't mentioned. I think he might be in the fight, maybe, but there's not enough dialogue there to explain anything. And there's just too much action, and it's another fight scene. And Jason's having a little faith. That again, I loved that. That was in the advert. I was waiting for it, and it was great. And then they left. There was all of them were there, not just Carrie and Jace as well. And they I don't know. I didn't even see the obviously werewolves were there, but they weren't a big part of anything really. And so there's like these werewolves chasing them, these vampires chasing them. They climb up on the roof, and then Carrie lands on Jace and stays there for ages. And I was like, okay, I actually said out loud, I was like, okay, this is the time to be making out. Like, get up, go, that you're gonna die. Not the time for kissing. I know they didn't actually kiss, they just had this intense moment, and I was like, oh God, come on, and they didn't have the flying motorbikes. Oh, crying everywhere. That was a scene that I think maybe they didn't have the money for the graphics of that, maybe, but I think that was a scene that everyone wanted to see. The motorbike scene, you've got to have it. They tried to shove it in at the end somewhere, but by then it didn't fly for a start, and by then they were already brother and sister, and it was really awkward and just icky, and ugh. You could have had it there, it would have been perfect. Just put it in. You don't need to have it come later. It doesn't need. And so they get to Simon. He's not a rat. He is actually been captured, not like in the book by mistake. Like, the whole thing was an accident. They thought it was one of them that had been, whatever, they turned to rats. And, yeah, so they'd actually taken him on purpose. I still don't understand why. I don't think anyone understands. You don't need to. Apparently, this was just another excuse for an action, like, but this action anyway, I don't get. So, right, he's hanging up here like this, all drugged, apparently. They were real drugs, maybe. Maybe they were real drugs that knocked him out. And, he goes to Chloe, they don't want me. They want you. They want the cup. Let me just take that in for a minute. The vampires want the mortal cup. Oh, no they don't. They have no interest in the mortal cup. That is for shadow hunters only. The vampires don't want to have war with the shadow hunters over a cup that they don't want. They keep it to themselves. Just, no. And then it doesn't explain why they want the cup. The cup isn't explained at all. They say, oh yeah, it makes shadow hunters. That's it. Makes shadow hunters out of people. And apparently it can do all this extra stuff, like make them pure at the end. Valentine's trying to get Clary to drink his blood because it makes shadow hunters pure, and yeah, so that, and literally it didn't make sense. It didn't. There was so much extra stuff around this. Like, why should we care that the cup, that Valentine, because they're like, oh, I'll call him Valentine, it's cooler. Valentine wants the cup. To make his, like, army. There was no Forsaken to show you this, to, like, show you what happens to humans if they don't respond well to runes, and it never said that humans drinking from the cup is dangerous at all. So we were like, oh, like, anyone who hasn't read the book is like, oh yeah, that's fine, why can't they just make a Shadowhunter army like Valentine wants? What is the problem with that? And I don't think, and they didn't have the fact that Valentine hates all Downworlders with a burning passion and wants them all to die. That never happened. The way they did the circle was terrible. They never explained any of that. It was slash shots, like shots of random violence that nobody understood. Oh. Madame Dorothea! Oh, I'm actually getting more and more worked up as I'm going along this. Like, each point is worse. Madame Dorothea! Let's start with the piano notes. Why? They put in, like, piano notes that demons don't like. I was like, okay, so what is the point of this? The only point I could see to that was to make Madame Dorothea start twitching. What? Once they got the mortal cup, surely she'd turn into a greater demon anyway. No, she just got a bit bigger, but that was just to show she was a demon. Surely if she turned into this ghoulish, weird thing that she does turn into, people would know she was a demon anyway. And then, so obviously Alec attacks the greater demon, but there's no foreshadowing of that either. There's no Clary telling him that Jace said he was a wimp for not killing any demons. He has a conversation with her, but they leave that bit out, and that's the only reason that Alec attacks her in the first place. And they've left that out, and it's lacking depth. That movie completely lacks any depth the book has, because they cut bits that are important out that they don't think are important. And so anyway, Alex has attacked Madame Dorothea, and they're looking like they're going to die. Simon wanders past after their big fight. There's a whole thing in the book about her calling him because they need a car. There's none of that. He just wanders past. Apparently Clary has texted him after they have this big, like, argument and fight and just shouting, and then suddenly Clary's texted him, and he's come along, and Clary's, like, banging on the window, and he doesn't look like he cares. He's like, oh yeah, Clary said she was here, just, like, looking. Clary's like, yeah! And, yeah. And then Simon, Madame Dorothea steps out into the light, which annoyed me, because she dies. She should die if she steps out into the light. And, okay, so there's 3 shadow hunters, could not kill Madame Dorothea, yet Simon pushes her back into her house as he suddenly develops super strength. The whole point of it is that he's the weak mundane, and he comes in with his bow and saves everyone. But no, that's not what they do. They have to add some epic fight scene into this, because they have to get the fights into it, all of them. And no, it's just, why? There was no need for it. There really wasn't. There wasn't any need for Simon to come in, and if they could do that, then why couldn't Jace kill the greater demon? I squealed at that. I was like, no, there's no. And now we're moving on to the ending, and the ending's probably going to take a long while to talk about because it was long. So we get to the bit where where Valentine comes into it. Okay, so there's a portal in the Institute for a start. Wouldn't that be dangerous? Can't demons get into the Institute for a start? How are they getting in? They can't step into the Institute. No, and there was no Renwicks. There was no portal at Madame Dorothea's to explain how great a demon possessed her body. There was nothing. And suddenly there's a portal there. It's not about Jace's ring, even though they add Jace's ring in. Jace's ring doesn't get Valentine there, so what is the point of it? And, yeah, so he comes in, all epic, through this portal. And, Clary, I think, I don't know, she's jumped through it at some point, and she's ended up at Luke's, even though it takes a lifetime to learn how to go through this portal. Clary's just jumped on through, yeah, I'm at Luke's and fighting a little girl demon. I liked her, she was fun. And, yeah, so Valentine's there, and he's talking to Hodge about Hodge's curse. Hodge's curse never gets explained. Hodge mentions a curse, Valentine tells him that he's being a wimp, and then drops it. So why did Hodge help him in the first place then, if there's no curse? Or if the curse, nobody understands the curse? That was unnecessary. If they were going to cut the curse and the explanation of Hodge's curse, they shouldn't have mentioned it at all. They could have done fine without that ish, just make him evil rather than a wimp. But they mentioned it, and that made everyone confused. Well, it made me confused. And then they have the revelation that they're brother and sister. Okay? This is a dramatic moment. Luke is telling Clary the story. Not very well, but he's telling her the story. And then he says, "You had a brother, Jonathan." And then Valentine goes, "You okay, Jonathan?" "Hello, Jonathan." Jace goes, "Don't call me that." And that's the moment everyone realises, that's the same person, they're brothers. No, because Hodge randomly threw it into conversation about 10 minutes before. He was like, "You ever going to tell them they're brother and sister?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, yes, that's how you say it, that's the revelation." It was so casually thrown in, like we were supposed to know all along, and then they do a dramatic scene. If they just kind of left it, I think most people even missed that, just because it was like, surely you didn't just throw it in, just casually show it in, like, it's supposed to be dramatic, it's supposed to be a twist ending to that book, and like change everything in your head, everything about the love story, and it just didn't. And I'm actually feeling sick now because I'm shouting so much. I'm sorry, this is a really intense video. I'm nearly done, I promise. I've got just a few more points. Keep looking down at my little list of points here now. Right. Then Clary comes there, and Jace tells her that this is his father, even though he'd forgotten him a bit earlier. That annoyed me. Apparently they'd altered Jace's mind as well, even though he could remember the Falcon story. And, yeah, but Jace didn't recognise his own father, because apparently that would be too confusing. Even though they mentioned something about Michael Wayland, which made it even more... I don't even understand what happened in the movie there, and I've read the books. I can't. And, so Jace has found this found devotion to his father that he's loved all his life, and it's finally come back to him when he thought was dead. And Valentine didn't fake his own death though, he just changed Jace's memory. And so he's got this like devotion. Valentine touches Clary, like just touches her, and Jace is like, "I told you not to touch her." And then he starts full on trying to kill him just because of that. I was like, okay, so you're having another fight scene. That was another fight scene for the sake of a fight scene. And I was like, okay, so you've just, all that loyalty and devotion that you're supposed to have, it takes so much to break that for Jace. And because there is supposed to be a connection between the father and the son. But no, they just break it and trying to kill him. And it's Clary in the end who has the cup and has this dramatic scene with her dad that she never knows. Couldn't they have had the dramatic scene with Jace? Because that would have been so much more, I would have felt it more, rather than someone who Clary's just found out's her dad. Like, just found out. And is it, I might need to watch the ending of this again. Does Clary let Valentine get away with the cup and through the portal, and then it appears in her jacket in the card? That's what I saw. I saw the portal shatter and it started snowing indoors. And then I saw Clary have the cup in the card. I don't No, I don't know if that actually happened. If that did happen, that was really stupid. Like, really stupid. I felt like the ending to that was like Beautiful Creatures. It was, you know, it dragged out and just too much that didn't make sense, and it went that same way that you just lost interest halfway through. You were like, yeah, okay, get on with it. It's too much action, too much. Ugh. And they tried to make it teeny bopper with the Demi Lovato in it, in that scene in the greenhouse when they were kissing, and then literally the Demi Lovato lyrics were louder than the voices of the characters, and it didn't fit the intensity that the scene's supposed to have. It's just, and then it happened again at the end. And let's talk about the actual ending. I'm just gonna do that for a minute. Yeah, what was that? Froze the demons, and then left, and then had another fight scene with the demons, and apparently the rune, yeah, Isabel's like, what rune is that? There isn't one. There isn't one that does that. And there also isn't one that does a Dumbledore and tidies your bedroom. Like, no, that's not what you don't use runes for that. You don't tidy your bedroom with them. They're not for doing the housework. It's like Simon, you might as well use them for food. And that was ridiculous. I laughed. That's like, what are you doing? You just ruined it. You just literally did that and your whole room just put itself right. And then apparently at the end they get on some motorbike to go on some quest, and they need Clary because she's special or whatever. I've seen no evidence of that special power. Apparently Clary and her mum are the only one that could put things back into paper, but I swear everyone can do that if they know the right rune to put on the page. And then they're setting up for a City of Ashes that makes no sense. So yeah, that's what I thought. I'm really sorry that this went on for 22 minutes. I'm very sorry for this. That was... Oh, you don't have to watch it all. Anyway, hopefully my next book review video won't be so intense. I'm loud now. I've drunk too much coffee today, that's the thing. Right, so yeah, follow me on Twitter. My Twitter is ScaryBookGeek. And I'll see you next time. I apologise again for this.